If I were to start learning another language right now, I would start doing this exercise immediately. At the beginning, I didn't care about my mistakes at all because all I cared about was to keep speaking my target language. I found this exercise really helpful, not only in terms of internalizing the common phrases and vocabs, but also boosting my confidence in my speaking skill in another language. Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. In this video, we're talking about how to improve speaking skill of a foreign language on your own. If you're new here, my name is Jun, and I'm a master's student studying microbiology and liberal arts. And on the side, I like to study languages because I like to go abroad and I like to immerse myself into different cultures and languages. To improve my speaking skill of other languages, I tried a number of exercises. I tried reading aloud random text and talking to the native speakers in another language and sending audio messages to myself and my foreign friends, and signing up for a conversation class in another language, and so on. But today we're talking about talking to ourselves in our target language and recording the process to improve our speaking skill on our own. I did this exercise to improve my speaking skills in Japanese and English, two of the languages that I'm fluent in. I would do this exercise for 5 to 10 minutes a day, and I think it really helped a lot with gaining fluency. I broke this video down into 3 parts. Firstly, we're talking about why this exercise is beneficial, and secondly, I'm going to talk about how I did this exercise, i.e., how I have been talking to myself to improve my speaking skill and recording the process. And thirdly, of course, I'm not going to forget about discussing how you can implement it so that you can get some value out of this video. And without further ado, let's just jump in. There are 3 reasons why I think this exercise is really beneficial for our speaking skills. Firstly, this is a great way to practice and internalize the common phrases and vocabs we came across in random occasions. In this video over here, I talked about collecting phrases and expressions as one of my best language learning habits. But in this video, I only talked about how I collected the phrases and expressions, not how I practiced them. Even though we come across those vocabs and phrases and collect them in our notebooks, it's kind of hard to use them immediately when we're speaking to people, especially to the native speakers. But if we practice them on our own first, i.e. talking to ourselves, like talking to the iPad or whatever device you have, it gets much easier to use the phrases and expressions or vocabs when we're speaking to people. I mean, not because we want to be perfect in every conversation, but for an engaging conversation. And the second reason why I think this exercise is really beneficial is because it might be one of the best places to make mistakes. Speaking a foreign language is hard because we have to learn by making mistakes, making actually many mistakes. But to many people, it could be quite discouraging and might lower their confidence if they make too many mistakes. In my case, I was getting quite sick of making the same mistakes over and over when I was a beginner in English and Japanese, when I was talking to people. So I started this exercise to give myself plenty of space to make mistakes and practice. By doing this exercise consistently over a long period of time, I was hoping to get to enjoy the conversation with other people in another language without having to worry about my mistakes. And the third reason why I think this exercise is really helpful is because it is obviously a great way to build confidence in your speaking skills. Again, this is not to have a perfect conversation without making any grammatical mistakes or something, but if we know a lot of common phrases and vocabs and could make less mistakes, we could just enjoy the conversation, just flow into the conversation. It naturally increases our confidence, which encourages us to get out there and have more engaging conversation and ultimately enjoy living the foreign language. Recording ourselves talking, whether it is voice recording or video recording, is a great way to give ourselves a sincere and genuine feedback and track our progress. And let's move on to how I did this exercise, i.e. how I have been talking to myself to improve my speaking skill. I did this exercise slightly differently at each level, i.e. beginner, intermediate, and advanced, when I was learning the languages. And of course, I recorded my exercise not only to give myself a feedback, but also to track my progress, as I said. And I've been doing that on my various devices, including this iPad, but I lost many of them, and I will revisit the recordings just to see how I used to sound and how much progress I made, that kind of stuff. When I was a beginner, I literally spoke about random things in my target language because all I cared about was to speaking and practicing my target language. So I didn't care much about my mistakes, actually not at all, and I would just focus on using vocabs and phrases to build sentences. And when I reached upper beginner or intermediate level, I started fine-tuning my speech and storytelling a bit. So I started paying attention to telling a reasonable story. To do that, I would expand my vocabs and phrases that I used to build the story. I also started acknowledging my mistakes. I would correct them in my recording session or write them down if necessary. Around upper intermediate or advanced level, I would start focusing on building a good story. To do that, I would give myself at least 10 minutes for the whole exercise, where for the first 3 to 5 minutes, I would write bullet points to build a good story, and I would talk about the bullet points for the remaining 5 minutes. And of course, I would pay attention to my mistakes and then I would correct them, but I noticed that I would make a lot less mistakes by this point. Okay, then let's move on to the last chapter, which is how you can implement this exercise into your language learning routine. You can definitely try this method, but feel free to modify it according to your style. My tip here, or what I want to stress for this exercise, is that even though you don't know where your story is going, or you notice that your story doesn't make any sense, just keep talking. Just keep going, because all you care about is to build sentences and just keep talking in your foreign language. And don't push yourself to build a good story when you're on beginner or intermediate level. Just keep talking. And just pay attention to building a decent sentence. And try to improve the sentences a little by little. And try this exercise for 7 days and see how that goes. Like I said, this exercise could be a great way to work on your vocabs and common phrases. But it could also be applied to working on other skills as well, such as grammar. For example, let's say you learned a new grammar topic earlier today. You can totally do this exercise to work on your grammar too, because you can definitely try to build sentences using the grammar. Anyway, getting back to the vocabs. When we look up a new word, usually there are sample sentences under the definition of vocabs, right? Using the vocabs. What we can do with these sample sentences is that we could modify them a bit to apply them to our daily situation, and we just use them to talk to ourselves. And this brings us to the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope these tips will help with your language learning journey. My question for today is, what are the ways to improve your speaking skill in another language? Please feel free to share them in the comment section below to help each other out. I would love to hear them, and I would love to learn from you guys. If you enjoyed this video, please come check out this video over here, where I talk about how to make time for language learning when you have a full-time job or schedule. Thank you so much for watching again, and I hope to see you again on the other side. Bye-bye.